Today we are going to learn about Indian Independence Act of 1947 and also we'll be studying about the features of Indian Independence Act. The Indian Independence Act of 1947. The Indian Independence Act of 1947 was the legislation was passed and enacted by the British Parliament that officially announced the independence and the partition of India. The Indian Independence Bill was passed by the British Parliament on 15th July 1947. The legislation of the Indian Independence Act was designed by the Prime Minister Clement Attlee as Indian political parties agreed on the transfer of power from the British government to the independent Indian government and the partition of India. The Indian Independence Bill was passed by the both houses of British Parliament on July 1st, 1947. Now we can study about the main provisions of this act. First one, two new dominions. India would be partitioned and the two independent dominions called India and Pakistan, it would be created from August 15, 1947. The act provides that legislative supremacy of both the dominions. The territories of two dominions were divided in such terms that Pakistan would comprise Sindh, British Balochistan, North-West Frontier Province, West Punjab and east part of Bengal. The India was to comprise all the remaining territories included in the British India. The exact boundaries of the dominions would be decided by the Boundary Commission. Second one is each dominion to have a Governor General, which means the India and Pakistan will have separate Governor General for their country. There would be a Governor General who would be appointed by British King on the advice of Cabinet of the concerned dominion. The arrangement would work till the framing of the Constitution. The Constituent Assemblies would serve as the central legislatures. Pakistan would have a separate Constituent Assembly. The Constituent Assemblies of both the dominions were to act as the central legislatures and would have full powers to make laws for their respective dominions. They would act as a sovereign bodies for legislative purposes. The princely states would become an independent. The princely states would become an independent and all the powers exercised by the British authority were to be removed. All treaties and agreements were made by the British with reference to the states would lapse from August 15, 1947. They would be free to associate themselves either of dominion or to remain independent. The abolition of the office of the Secretary of State. The office of the Secretary of State for India was to be abolished. The titles of Emperor of India and the King of England were dropped from the royal style. Division of the Indian Army and the sharing of assets. The provisions were made for the divisions of the Indian Army and assets between the two dominions, and the steps were taken to share the assets and the liabilities between the two dominions called India and Pakistan. The last provision of Indian Independence Act of 1947 is safeguarding the interest of existing officials. There is a proper provision was made for safeguarding the interest of existing officials on who appointed by Secretary of State, but the Secretary of State would not make any further appointments in future. The Governor General was vested with the necessary powers for bringing the Indian Independence Act into effective operation. Mountbatten became the Governor General of Dominion of India. Mr. Muhammad Ali Jinnah became the Governor General of Pakistan. The dominions of India and Pakistan came into existence on 15th August 1947. Lord Mountbatten was requested by Nehru to continue as a Governor General of India. C. Rajagopalachari was succeeded him as the first and the last Indian Governor General. India became the Republic on January 26, 1950. From that, Dr. Rajendra Prasad took over as first President of Indian Republic and the Constituent Assembly became the Parliament of India.